Hello everybody, welcome back to Musings by Nikki. I am here today because I figured I haven't filmed any legit craft with me videos for quite some time, and time I have right now. As look at my orange thumbs from vintage photo and hands kind of in general. I've been vintage photoing a lot of things for the last 2 days. Anyway, I haven't filmed any legit craft along videos. So I'm kind of finishing up these journals for my here's your sneak peek of the first of the 2 journals for my 2000 subscriber giveaway, which will happen in the next few days or so. But I was making this cool little accordion folder pocket, its own signature thing for the front of this, and I thought, let's just craft it together. So I'm going to open you up this journal and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, this is its own signature, right? So here's my one single signature of the actual journal, and then this is its own signature. It's already bound in this one, and so I thought I would show you how I made it. I open it up, and it has, so it's an accordion folder, and it has 3 file folders in there. So 3 file folders that I just put some lace on, and you can put whatever, you can put all kinds of stuff in there. So let me slide those back in, and then we will talk you through how I did this. It's pretty slick. You don't need that many supplies for it. And like I said, you can bind it right in as its own signature right in the front. So I'm going to set this aside. Let's see, over here. Ugh. And let's talk about what you need. I made that last one with one single sheet. You just need one single sheet of 12 by 12 paper. I would suggest a card weight, a heavier duty card weight paper, because it needs some structure to it. Regular paper, I think, if you were trying to sew it in as its own signature, would just be probably too floppy. You could take a regular sheet of paper and put some fabric over it or something and do this, although the folding part of it might be a little difficult. Now, what I would say also in addition is that this paper that I have, this paper pad, let me see, this is the paper pad that I'm using. It's die cuts with a view, and it, it came, the whole pad has this little hole from hanging it on the rack at the store. So keep that. Usually I cut that off. Now the Tim Holtz papers, I was just gonna see. So what that does is the Tim Holtz papers don't have it. Some papers don't, but I think a majority of my paper pads have this hole through them right here, and we want to use that. We're going to use that hole as where we put our string through. What it does is it, without the other pads, where it wouldn't work with one of those pads that has the rip off thing right here. Let me get a piece of paper so I can show you what the heck I'm talking about. Hold on, guys. Let's see, I think this will probably do it. So see, it has the hole, but then, oh, of course it doesn't. Anyway, it's on a whole pad though, so I can show you. So a lot of times it's perforated right here, and so this wouldn't work with one that is perforated right here. Now, because you could probably washi it or something like that, or reinforce that somehow, but it wouldn't work so well with the perforation there. What I will say is you could probably make this work without that as well, just by punching your own hole. It's not that difficult. But what I am showing you is we're going to use that hole right there, and we're going to use virtually the whole sheet of paper. So let me get my ruler, and let me get my, you guys, I know what I'm doing. I made one already, but I didn't plan ahead much. So we're shooting from the hip today, which is what I do most of the time, and using the right end of the ruler helps as well. So we want to fold it in half. You want this side is where you need to measure to make your fold. So this one is 5 1/4. So I want 5 1/4, and then on the back side I want 7 1/4, right? So I want to measure down. Whoops. Oh, come on now. What this does is, when you're able to use the sheet with the hole in it, it's more than 12 this way, because it accounts for you slicing that off. So it gives you this extra 1/2 inch right here at the top that you would normally cut off, okay? But that's why we like this piece right here, because we're going to go fold our entire thing in half. I'm using the marks on my, well, you can't see, but I'm using my marks right down here on the bottom of my glass mat. I am lining up, and I'm gonna go, because I know I want this flap to be 5 1/4. So I'm lining up. I can show you, I think I can show you up here. I'm just looking at my numbers down here. It's just off screen. So I want my fold to be at 5, to measure to make this side 5 1/4. By doing that, that makes this back side 7 1/4. So when I measure this to 5 1/4, it automatically makes this 7 1/4. In your head, if you're doing the math, which, I mean, I'm not trying to do the math that fast, but you say that adds up to more than 12. Again, because we don't have the perforation here, this ends up being 12 1/2. Okay? Work with me. So we've got the first fold in. Now we want to make our second fold, which is folding this flap over. I know this looks really wide right now, but we're gonna shrink that down a little. But we want to make this fold over this way first. Now you want to leave a little bit of room here for the tabs and stuff. So I kind of went, well, actually, I did this with my scoreboard, because this part, like the folding it all in half is easy enough, but this part gets more difficult. And I'm not so good at the folding in half, you know, like with the perfection. I get like wonky, so then it starts going like this. So I'm gonna just take it up, you know, 3 or 4 notches here and run down. And then I will fold that in half, and I'm gonna leave my scoreboard right here because we're gonna come right back to that thing. Okay, so now what we have is like a giant folder, the beginnings of, right? A giant folder. Now my standard signatures are 9 inches or 8.5 inches usually by like 5.5, because it's when you fold an 8.5 and 11 in half, that's what you get. So my standard cover is like 9 inches by 6 inches. That's usually what I make my covers, give or take. So I'm gonna make this thing about 9 inches tall. Now this is gonna make the math fairly easy on this. If you wanted to make it shorter, you're just gonna have to adjust your math or just kind of eyeball. I'm gonna use my scoreboard to do the next foldy pieces of this. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can certainly measure out, you know, and put notches in. You can use the edge of your ruler to, you know, pull up like this and fold against and stuff. So there are different ways you can do it. I happen to have the big scoreboard, which is super handy for this next part. So we're going to use the sides, this side over and this side over, on both the front and the back to make the accordion parts. Because if you're going to sew this in as its own signature, it has to be able to be bound in like this and then closed shut after it's been bound in. So we can't assemble the whole thing right now. It has to be ready to go so that it can be sewn in and then attached. And I'll show you how I managed that part as well. For right now, we're going to put the folds in. So when I unfold it, I've got my tab down here, or my little hole down here, because we're only going to score up to here. We're not going to score past the fold mark for this. So we're going to score this side and this side, but not the flap piece, because I mean, that's just going to get cut off. This little square is going to end up getting cut off anyway. But you want to put the hole at the bottom now. And this is 12 inches across. So this paper is 12 inches. Since I want it to be 9 inches, what I'm working with then is an additional 3 inches. So I have, okay, are you following me on this? I hope that I'm going to make sense with this, you guys. Since I want this to be 9 inches, but it's 12 inches across, I have 3 additional inches to make my little baffles with. So that means when you take that extra 3 and divide it half and half, because we want baffles on both sides, that means that I have 1.5 inches on each side. 1.5 inches on each side here. Which means that I have essentially 3.5 inches. Now, if you are one of my friends that uses metric, you're probably totally lost right now unless you have inch measured things. And I'm so sorry, but none of my stuff is in metric. So just kind of get the general idea of what I'm doing if you want to recreate this. So I have 1.5 inches on this side and 1.5 inches on this side to make my my marks, my scores, and I'm going to do it at every 1/2 inch. I'm going to do, because I have 3.5 inches here and 3.5 inches here. So I'm going to go from the 12 mark, I'm going to go into 11.5 and score all the way up to, but not any further than right here. So I'm going to go one more time over that. All right, then I'm going to go to, so that was 11.5. Now I'm going to go score at 11. And then I'm going to go to 10.5. Okay, so let's see if you can see that. Yeah, can you kind of, in the light, in the reflection, see I have 1, 2, 3 spaces here. I have 3 score marks. That's what we want. Now we're going to do the same over on the other side. We're going to go at 1/2 inch here. Oops, forgot to silence my phone. So 1/2 inch. You know, I'm going to turn my board around because it's easier when I have it on my right hand side, because I am right-handed. Okay, then I'm going to go, so that's at 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to go at 1 inch. Make sure I'm still cornered, squared up here. Remember, up to the flap, but not on the flap. And then I'm going to go to 1.5. So I've got my 3 score marks over here. All right. Let's turn this back around and put that back over here. All right, so now I have, right, we have the folding like this. This is our flap. And I have now scored the sides of this part and this part. So you can see my score marks there, but not on the flap. Now, in order to make all the stuff fit before I go and start folding, what I want to do is make a few cuts. You're going to cut in the side right on the fold. So right here on the fold, you're going to cut in just as far as that last score line right on the fold. Just to the, so on the fold, now I've cut in just as far as my last score line. And then you're going to flip it around and do the same on the other side. You guys might be watching me and being like, Nikki, this is old news, man. Everybody else has already made these. Who knows? I haven't seen it recently, so I thought I was being cool making this out of one sheet, so I thought I'd bring you along on my journey. Okay, so now what I can do is, because once you get all of these folded, you're going to end up with this big bulk of paper right here. And as you try to then close it back up this way, you're going to have this huge wad of paper. So what you want to do is, right where you've cut into like this, you want to miter out the corners like this just slightly. So I'm going to miter right in. So see how I took this chunk out? I'm going to do the same on this side. And this does not have to be exact. You just need to miter it in a little, like that, because then you'll have room for all these to fold together. You want to do that on the other side as well. Okay. All right, so now we have our two miters. And then what we need to do is get rid of this top chunk right here, because the envelope, or the envelope, the file folder thing, whatever we call in this folder, is only going to be this wide, and we don't want the flap to be extra wide. So this I eyeball. Now, this is not for the faint of heart. It is for either the well-measury people can go ahead and measure. I just literally am, I'm eyeballing where the last score mark is, and then I'm going to cut along the flap. So I'm going to cut, I'm eyeballing down to the flap, or to the fold, and then I'm going to cut right along the fold over. Oops. Like so. Now if you really want to, you can go ahead and measure that stuff out, and I'm not. Clearly, ain't nobody got time for that over here. Some things I measure and be really careful about, and then other things like this, I just, Geronimo, and I go for it. Okay, now we have this shape. Is this starting to make some sense? Right, so fold up. These are going to be our baffles. This is going to be our flap. Okay, so now we can finally fold in our, and you want to just accordion fold these like you do when you're making a fan when you're a kid. So fold them in, and then fold the next one back like this. And you want to use your paper, your bone folder or something to give them a really good crease, because you want these to be really well folded down. Okay, so now we've got, see how it's mitered? So that takes the bulk out of here, and the same side, this is going to do the same thing. So we've got our first little set of accordions here. All right, now we got to do the rest of them. And they all just go the same way. This one goes like this. see how now together on this side we've got two little things, so when I fold it like this, it takes the bulk out of there. Otherwise you'd have this huge gob of paper and you wouldn't be able to hardly fold it. Now let's do this side. And one more right here. These would be great like if you had a 2 or 3, you know, a 2 signature journal. This would be great like in the middle of them too. I think it's kind of fun to put something like this in there because how fun is it to have like a place to store some extra ephemera or throw pictures and stuff in. Okay, so now we have all 4 of our sides accordion folded up, and we can fold it shut like this, and look at, we've got accordion ready over there, right? Okay, so a few final touches to I think make this even more amazinger. Something happened and my folding got wonky over here. What did I do? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it'll still line up good enough. So anyway, so, whoops. Okay, there we go. So see up here in the corner, now we've got this little hunk of paper stuck here. I'm going to miter that as well. So I'm going to come fold out the whole chunk while it's still like this, and I'm just going to cut that down, and little papers are going to fly everywhere. And then same thing here. Okay, so then that just takes the, like I said, that takes the edge down. I think it just makes it look a little neater. Okay, I'm going to round my corners here. So where's my corner rounder? Here it is. I want to set it to a smaller one. Blech. Oh, that didn't. This one is so temperamental. So I'm going to go with this one. I kind of wanted a little bigger round, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And let's go this way. Okay. Okay, then, so that's that. Now, another thing I'm going to do is, this is going to be bound into a signature, and so since this is the only thing, it's not layered with other papers, I'm going to reinforce this with some wide washi that I have, just so that, you know, it'll stand the test of time. I don't want my, you know, books to tear apart. I don't want them to, you know, things to rip out. So I'm going to give this a good fresh cut here. And then I'm going to just lay down a wide piece of this washi. This will just help reinforce it a little bit there. And you won't really see it, so I mean, you could use what you'll see it when you open it up. So I mean, that's why I'm using something that kind of matches. But now that already, that's this like spine already feels way more durable. Because again, like I said, as things get, you know, moved around, it's going to pull on that a little bit and stuff. Okay, so now we want to put our brad in. What I'm going to do, which I buried them. Okay, so now the little hole, I'm going to put some hole reinforcers on there. You could, if you had big enough eyelets, put an eyelet through, but the hole on these tends to be bigger than like our standard, you know, We Are Memory Keepers and stuff eyelets. So I think it'd be tough, but I kind of like using the hole like as it is, and with a piece of with a hole reinforcer on both sides, it actually makes it quite sturdy. So these are the paper self-stick ones that I just go over with Vintage Photo. Now you want to ink the whole thing all around, all the edges, on the sides, everywhere. I'm not going to make you watch me do that right now. The next thing is we got to put the disc for the windy guy. So I already made a disc out of cereal box. So it's like lightweight cardboard. And I'm just going to line it up. You know, you can put it however far away you want here. If you didn't have the paper with the hole, you could put one of these on both sides, here and here. And so then, you know, it would just wind shut like this. You could definitely do it that way if you're using some sort of different paper or something. I just happen to be able, I love if I can do something with one whole sheet of 12 by 12. So that's what this is. So I'm going to guesstimate the center and then press down just enough to leave myself a little spot there. I'm going to push through there. I'm going to push through there. I'm going to grab, I forgot to grab a brad out, so I'm going to grab one of these little ones that looks like the head of a screw. I love these, and they're perfect for this type of journal. So I'm going to put that through, and then I'm going to put a canceled, oh, that one's not very good. I got them super cheap from somewhere, and some of them aren't bent all the way the right way. Like they weren't, like they didn't go through the machine all the way. There we go. Then I'm going to put a canceled eyelet. So an eyelet that's just been smashed, but not up, you know, just on itself. I'm going to put that in the back as a spacer, and then put all of that through and open it up here. And then I always use the back side of my awl just to kind of tap it a few times to make sure this is nice and flat and tight. And then I bend the sides down. I'm going to put a piece of washi over this as well, just because that way papers don't catch on it. The folders, as you slide them in and out, they don't catch on there. So I'm going to just put a piece of washi here to just kind of smooth, you know, and not get it caught. All right. So we've got our hole ready to go, and our, what, see, this isn't lining up right. Something happened, guys. What happened? This first fold didn't come over far enough, I think. Let's see. Oh, I can hear my husband down there. I think I'm going to just re-score over just slightly. I don't know how that happened. This is real crafting, guys. Okay. Move it over just slightly and kind of score down that line. Let's see if I can go like this. Okay, now let me see if I can push it over. Train it over a little. Let's see if I fold it backwards once. There we go. If I pull it back on itself a little. That's what I needed right there. So now hopefully when I flip it over, say a little prayer, I can train it back over. Yes. Sometimes you just have to exert your dominance over the paper, guys. Show it who's boss. Okay, now hopefully that fixed my problem. Look at me celebrating and it didn't even fix my problem. It did! Yay, it lines up better. Okay, sorry about that, a little aside, but you know, we keep the bad things in and here at Musings by Nikki because none of us are perfect crafters. I certainly am not. So, okay, so we've got all our stuff done. We've got our baffles, we've got this one lined up appropriately now. We've got the, you know, little fan, cutesy fan, so that when we fold it, it takes the bulk out of the corner. We've got this up here mitered just to make it look nicer, right? Now, here's the part where we want to get it ready. You could certainly glue these together, right? So once you sew this signature in, it's essentially ready at this point to be sewn in to your you know, into your book, however you are doing it, with a hidden spine or through. I did mine, I'm doing mine through the cover right now. So you certainly could just sew it in and then glue these two edges together. What I did, because I think it makes it a little bit easier, I don't use score tape a ton anymore, but it's perfect for this because then you just rip it off and it's instant stick. And then you're not trying to like hold, you know, you're not trying to hold a glued sides together at a weird angle and make sure that the glue doesn't get on your other stuff and things, okay? So what we're gonna wanna do here is, let me find the edge. So this is, this is like 1/4 inch score tape, I think. Yeah, 1/4 inch score tape, which is like one of the more common ones. This is a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put one piece all the way to the edge on this side and then one piece to the inside edge on this side. So let me show you in real time what that looks like. So I'm going to try and run this right along the outside edge here. Right along. And then break it off right there. Okay, so I've got that, oh goodness, it's very sticky, which is good. So I've got that running right along the outside edge. Now, if I started running a second piece here, it would run over the top of this one, and I don't want to take the paper off until I'm done sewing the signatures in. So what I'm gonna do is run the second piece along the inside edge of the baffle it's going to attach to. So let's do that. And hopefully once I've done this and I show you, you'll go, oh, that makes more sense than how you were saying it. Okay, let me kind of burnish that down a little there. All right, so now when these two go together, see how they're offset a little bit? So you'll get full adhesion on this whole flap, which is really what you want, again, to stand the test of time. So those two will glue together or stick together with the tape. See that? So you'll have one accordion here, one accordion here, and then you'll have this peak right here where these two are stuck together. Now I'm going to do that on the other side. And don't take the paper off your double-sided tape here until you've already sewn this thing in. There you go. And this side. And push that down really good. I'm going to give it a little bit of a push down with my bone folder just to make sure that that's really glued onto there well, because again, I like things to try and last. Just test of time. So now you're totally ready to sew it in, and then once it's sewn in, so pretend like we just sewed it in, you can pull the tape off, pull the tape off. I would only do one side at a time. So I would do this side, and then that way you can concentrate on getting it lined up just right. Getting it lined up just right, and then, you know, pushing it together really good and pushing it together on the inside. You'll see this side stays apart pretty good. So then you can go on that side, take the tape off, and finish fixing that side as well. So then it's sewn in. It's hidden, so you can't even see, you know, where that it's sewn in, because the strings will just be on the inside here. And then I've got my 3 file folders ready to go for this one. These are just 12 by 12 paper that I took and cut down to, so this is 9 inches. I cut them to 8.5, so they would go in and out very easily. And then I used my envelope board, punch board, to make the tabs. And then I just, you know, folded over this edge and put some lace on. They're literally just, you know, so then they'll go in once you've got it all sewn in together. And then let's make our, let's just pull off a big old chunk of string here. Let's make our tie. Normally I wouldn't do this part until it's all the way in, but I don't have my signature ready to be sewn into quite yet, so but I just, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. So I'm using string. You could use sari silk or twine. You'd have to be thin sari silk. Now that I just said that, I was like, how in the world would that work, Nikki? Also, like I said, you know, I'm going to go ahead and go all over the edges of everything with some good dose of, you know, vintage photo and add to my orange hands here. I like mine to wind 3 times. So what did I just do there? 1. There we go. And I have another one of these Tim Holtz little metal things. He's got all kinds of fun ones. Wow, I cut that like super extra long, but that's okay. And then I'll show you my, this stuff. This is like the greatest color baker's twine, and I love it, but man, the minute you like touch it just wrong on the end, it starts to fray, and it's maddening. You could have this certainly hang long. It could hang outside of the journal. It'd be cool to have something hanging down on the bottom underneath that, you know, outside of the journal. I just have mine hanging here, and that's about where I want it. So watch this technique closely. It's like old-fashioned Girl Scout knotting macrame friendship bracelet time. So I have both of my strings going through like so. I wonder if I can zoom in. You guys are probably also like, man, this is old school, Nikki. Everybody knows how to do this. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I want it like yay long. So kind of hold in back where I want the string to stop. Then I take the top string, flip it over, and pull it through. First knot. I want that one to get good and tight. Okay. Then I'm going to do, now the string, pull the string. Oh no, sorry. Oh, that knot went to the back side. Okay, so now I've got the strings are on this side. So, oops, stay in frame. That's about how long I want it, okay? So the strings were on this side, now they're on that side. So I'll flip them over like this and pull them through and pull that down like this. Now my strings are on this side. And I'm going to just do the same thing a couple times. Put it over, pull them through. It makes it kind of this cool little macrame. Remember macrame? So now I'm going to flip them over from this side. I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to pull it through and tighten it down. You can do this as many times as you want to create this cool little knot. It also, I mean, it helps secure it. I'm going to do it one more time. Sorry, I got like way out of frame. I forget that when I put it in tight, I can't do that. Okay. So now I'm just going to go, I'm going to pull this way. I'm going to hold here and pull up this way. I'm going to hold here and pull up this way and make sure that it's good and tight. And like here, I've created this little macrame knot on there now. I'm going to take my art glitter glue. You could do Fabri-Tac on this as well, which would definitely make sense since this is kind of a fabric-y type of application. However, I really like the super fine tip on my art glitter glue for this, so I can really get down in there. So what I'm going to do is try and like bury the nozzle down into the, you know, sides of the knot here and just kind of squeeze a little bit in there like you're oiling a joint or something. And it's just going to help it. I'm going to just kind of smoosh the glue down in there. It just kind of gives it a nice another bit of security, I think. So that, and then I'm going to trim my ends off. And I like leaving them a little long because I like that little organic bit there. There we go. So now it's like pretender it's in my signature. Let's go back out here. Okay. So there we go. That is ready to go. Isn't that so cute? So now you can put this in. On the back side, you could put another pocket. You could, I mean, attach a little notebook of paper here. If you wanted to make this like a whole signature, like, you know, even more than this, more hefty than this, you could put some pockets back here. You could also back to back this. So let me show you what exactly I'm thinking about. So here we've got our one that's already sewn in. Right? So you could take a second one that you've made and back to back it like this and put them together, and you could leave, if you just glued only the sides, you could have a pocket in the middle, and then you could have accordion on this side and accordion on this side. That doubles this whole mess, right? And you could sew them in together as single signatures right next to each other, and still have this. Or if you attach the whole thing, you could probably put a hinge on the bottom that would then go from this one to the underneath of the other one, and that would allow you to put them in as one signature, because you'd just sew. Then you could actually make this whole thing up and attach the edges, and then you would sew down the middle here and then glue the sides together like this and put it together once it's sewn in. So then you'd have a pocket here and accordion on both sides. Make sense? I would do that here, except this lady's alligator mouthed and as chunky as she needs to be. So, oh, and if you were in my live the other day, you saw me making these little My Porch Prints tags, and so now I have attached them to some of the lace and I'm loving it. I made the edges of the book a little bit longer here so they overlap it, so they can protect them from getting too bent. But yeah, they're super cool and I love them. This is like just my super grungy vintage journals. that I shall have finished in the next day or two, and then we can, in addition to our 19 days of giveaways, we can do a 2,000 subscriber giveaway as well. So I'll have a second one of these done in the next couple of days, like I said. Fun, huh? So there you go, guys. There's a fun little project that I thought we could craft along, because I just have only been seeing you for a couple of lives, which have been super fun, or just quick little drawing videos. So I thought, there you go. We just spent some time together crafting along. Quarantine crafting time, guys. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all doing wonderfully. I hope that quarantine isn't making you crazy, but that it's allowing you to have some time with your family that you normally wouldn't have some time with crafting or other hobbies that you normally wouldn't have, allowing you to go for some walks and be a little bit more, you know, present or intentional in your life. I know those are such cliche buzzwords, but I think that they do mean something. So I hope that everything's well with you guys. I hope that you all have enough toilet paper. And Jamie, I'm looking at you. I hope that toilet paper comes your way. And until I see you guys, well, you know, if you're watching this today, which is Monday, March 30th. Oh my gosh, I've completely lost track of the days. It's the 30th. This is what happens when you're in quarantine. You just don't even know what day it is. If you're watching this today, I'll see you just in like an hour with my drawing. But if you're watching this sometime in the future, I will see you again whenever you come to another live or another video. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whatever time it is, on whatever side of our fantastic globe of ours that you live on. And until I see you guys again next time, stay safe, stay healthy, be well. Enjoy your families. Praying for you all. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.